God is dead. Not literally, but something even more dangerous has already happened. The system you trust, the values you follow, the meaning you live by, are collapsing, and you didn't even notice. You think you're living your own life, but you're not. You're following rules. You never created, believing things. You never questioned, and calling it freedom. Now ask yourself this. If everything you believe in disappears tomorrow, no religion, no fixed morality, no one telling you what is right, what would be left of you? Would you become free or completely lost? This is the question that Friedrich Nietzsche forces you to face. Not gently, but brutally. He doesn't give you answers, he takes them away. And through a man named Zarathustra, he shows what happens. When a human being tries to create meaning from nothing, this is not just a book. This is a challenge. This is Thus Spoke Zarathustra. There was a man who chose to leave the world. His name was Zarathustra. For 10 years, he lived alone in the mountains. No people, no distractions, just silence. Years passed, and one day, he realized something. He had learned enough, too much to keep to himself. So he made a decision. He would return, not to follow, but to question. And that is where everything begins. As Zarathustra descends from the mountains, he meets an old man, a saint, a man who has spent years in the forest, devoting his life to God. He has abandoned the world because he believes truth exists only in the divine. Zarathustra looks at him and says something shocking. God is dead, not as an insult, not literally, but as a warning, because for centuries, people built their lives on one foundation. God defined morality. God defined purpose. God defined truth. But now, that foundation is collapsing. Science, reason, modern thinking have slowly replaced it. And the saint cannot understand this because his entire life depends on that belief. So Zarathustra walks away because he realizes something important. Not everyone is ready for truth. Some people need their illusions to survive. And this is where the real conflict begins. Zarathustra enters a town where a crowd has gathered. They are not there to think, they are there to watch. A man walking on a rope, high above the ground, between two buildings. Zarathustra sees this and realizes something. This is the perfect moment. He steps forward and begins to speak. He tells them, human beings are not complete. They are a bridge between what they once were and what they can become, like the man on the rope, trying to move forward without falling. But the crowd doesn't understand. They laugh because they came for entertainment, not truth. And then something unexpected happens. A figure appears, a jester. He jumps onto the rope and disturbs the man. The balance breaks, and the man falls right in front of everyone. Zarathustra rushes to him, and in his final moments, he says something strange. Your life was not wasted because you tried, because you took the risk. And that is more than most people ever do. Standing before the crowd, Zarathustra introduces a new idea. The Übermensch, not a superhero, not someone with powers, but a human who creates his own values. Someone who does not ask, what is right, but asks, what do I choose? Because most people don't live their own lives. They follow rules given by religion, society, and tradition. Ready-made answers. It feels safe. But Zarathustra calls it weakness, because real freedom is not comfort. It is responsibility. To decide your own path, to define your own meaning. Zarathustra explains something deeper. If you want to grow, you must change, not once, 3 times. First, you become the camel. The camel carries weight. It accepts responsibility. It follows rules. It endures struggle. This is where most people live. But growth doesn't stop here. Then comes the lion. The lion says one word: no. No to rules. No to control. No to everything imposed on you. This is rebellion. You break free. You reject what was given to you. But even this is not enough, because destroying is not creating. So finally comes the child. The child creates new values, new meaning, a new way of living, without fear, without past limitations. Only here does real freedom begin. But very few ever reach this stage. Zarathustra introduces a dangerous idea: the last man, a person who is safe, too safe, no risks, no struggle, no ambition, just comfort. He avoids pain, avoids challenges, avoids growth. He lives an easy life and calls it happiness. But Zarathustra disagrees. He says, this is not living, it is surviving. Because real life requires effort, it requires risk. But the last man wants none of it. He chooses predictability over possibility. And the most dangerous part, people want this. They choose comfort over becoming something more. And when Zarathustra says this, the crowd doesn't reject it. They cheer, because deep down, they recognize themselves. And that is the real danger. Zarathustra asks a deeper question. What drives a human being? Not comfort, not peace, the will to power, not over others, but over yourself, the strength to grow, to break your limits. Because growth is painful. It comes with doubt, with struggle. But most people avoid it. They choose safety and call it happiness. They follow rules without questioning them. What is right? What is wrong? But Zarathustra challenges this. He says, many values don't make you stronger, they make you smaller. Even pity reminds people of their weakness, and even forced equality kills greatness. So ask yourself, are you becoming stronger or just more comfortable? Zarathustra finishes speaking, but the crowd does not understand. Some laugh, some ignore him, and some simply don't care, because they didn't come to listen. They came to be entertained. His words feel strange to them, too heavy, too uncomfortable, and slowly, the crowd begins to lose interest. They turn away. The noise returns, and just like that, he is alone. Not because he left them, but because they were never really with him. And in that moment, Zarathustra understands something important. Truth cannot be forced. Not everyone is ready to hear it. So instead of speaking louder, he steps back. He walks away, back into silence. Zarathustra is alone again, and a disturbing idea comes to him. What if your life doesn't happen once? What if you have to live it again and again, forever? Every moment, every decision, every pain, every joy, exactly the same. Nothing changes, nothing resets. Would you accept it, or would it break you? This is the idea of eternal recurrence, a test, not of your life, but of how you live it. Because if you truly accept your life, you should be able to say, yes, I would live this again. But most people can't, because deep down, they know they are not living fully. They are settling, avoiding risks, avoiding change. So this question becomes a mirror. It shows you the truth, not about the world, but about yourself. And once you see it, you can't ignore it anymore. Zarathustra hears a call, a cry for help, not from one person, but from many. He follows the sound and meets strange people, kings who had power but left it behind because it felt empty, a man obsessed with knowledge yet lost in it, a magician who pretends to suffer just to be noticed, and a priest who has lost his faith, each one searching, each one struggling, fragments of humanity, none of them complete. Zarathustra brings them together and tells them something important. You are not the end. You are only the path. Because becoming more is not a destination, it is a process. And even those who search deeply are still unfinished. But that is not failure. That is the journey. After speaking to them, Zarathustra leaves. He gives them time. Time to think. Time to understand. But when he returns, something feels off. The atmosphere has changed. The same people who were searching, who were questioning, are now gathered together, kneeling, not in thought, in worship, and at the center stands something unexpected. A donkey, they bow to it, they praise it, as if nothing has changed, as if everything he said meant nothing. For a moment, Zarathustra is silent. Then he understands. Humans cannot stay without belief. If not one God, they will create another, anything, to avoid facing themselves. And that is the real struggle, not understanding the truth, but living without illusions. So he steps back, because real change cannot be taught. It must be chosen. And that is where the journey truly begins. Zarathustra's journey doesn't give you answers, it takes them away. Because the moment your beliefs stop guiding you, you are left with something uncomfortable: choice. The choice to decide who you are, without rules, without guarantees. And that is where most people hesitate. Not because they cannot think, but because thinking comes with responsibility. To question what you've been taught, to rebuild what you once believed, and to accept that there is no one else to blame. This is what makes his philosophy difficult. It doesn't tell you what is right. It asks whether you have the strength to decide it yourself. So the real question is not about Zarathustra. It is about you. If your life stays exactly the same, will you accept it, or will you change it? Because that answer defines how you live.